All right, so tech industry leaders this morning calling for a pause on the development of artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. We have 4, and now we may be going beyond that, and that's what has them really shaken up. Elon Musk and other executives now urging companies to just halt experiments on AI for 6 months. They need to get some coordination on this, citing risks to society. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr joining me now on this and also on what's happening with TikTok. Commissioner, good to have you with us today. You know, it's pretty striking. Let me read just a section of this open letter that is out there this morning. It's big news. Powerful AI systems should be developed only once we are confident that their effects will be positive and their risks will be manageable. We call on AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems. And it goes on to talk about how the brains that are being created in these systems can surpass the human brain and may overtake us eventually, is the concern. What do you say to this?
Well, look, I think AI, what we're seeing right now, is a real game-changer technology on the order of magnitude of the invention of the Internet, of things going mobile with the Internet. I think AI has the potential to be one of those third big game changers. When you look at large technology shifts before, including big tech, one thing that we've been slow to is addressing some bias in those systems, including, in my view, political bias. So I think this goes to a broader point of needing to put in place some baseline protections across all technology platforms to make sure they're not developed and implemented in a way that's going to discriminate against political viewpoints, religious viewpoints, scientific viewpoints. And I think if this pause gives us opportunity to do that, then it's a good thing.
One of the things that was described to me, you know, just as a scenario, is basically just bending the reality of an event. So if, for example, China wanted to invade Taiwan, to put out there that, you know, Taiwan had done something, they had shot down a Chinese plane, that if you flood all of the social media, all of the realities with this kind of scenario, you can create something that appears to become reality and is not. And that is truly, truly scary.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this is part of what ties back to the TikTok conversation. We had that blockbuster hearing last week. The Republican leader of the committee, Chair Rogers, I think deserves a lot of credit for putting on a masterclass of a hearing. It brought together Republicans and Democrats, and they were united in agreeing that TikTok poses an unacceptable national security threat. There was a concern, as your question just got to, about the potential use of TikTok for foreign influence campaigns. And I think that hearing fundamentally shifted the nature of the conversation in Washington about TikTok from a question of whether we should ban it to how exactly do we do it and when do we do that. And so I think that was a significant moment in this discussion.
Yeah, you talk about how exactly we would do that. And today it's supposed to be off a lot of government devices. How do you check? How do you know whose devices it's on and whose it isn't on?
Yeah, this is a significant step in the right direction, this federal device ban. And as someone that works in the federal government, there's a lot of guidance going around on how exactly to do it, and we can do it. But obviously, we need to go beyond just this federal device ban. If you look at India, for example, they've imposed a full nationwide ban on TikTok. I think that's where we need to get to. And in fact, I think that's where we're going to get to. And again, this hearing, I think one of the most significant points of that was Democrat Congressman Ranking Member Frank Pallone, right at the outset, took head-on this thing called Project Texas, which is the mitigation plan that TikTok has been trying to sell the federal government for 2 years now. And he said that he didn't have confidence that even if we did Project Texas, it would stop the Communist Party of China from effectively controlling TikTok. So I think that was a significant moment.
It's pretty stunning that, you know, China basically has a similar version of TikTok, but it's really not, because it basically pushes out educational, patriotic, historic information. They turn the whole thing off at 10 o'clock at night. Ilhan Omar says that she doesn't want our country to have that kind of control over what people read and see. Here she is.
Congresswoman, do you support a TikTok ban?
I do not. What's being proposed right now in Congress is censorship, is against the First Amendment, and is going to disenfranchise so many people in this country. I want the people to be awakened to the reality of what this rhetoric is producing, and it's not to protect them.
So you just said, Commissioner, that you think it will. We are headed toward a nationwide ban. She thinks not. What do you say?
Look, I think part of what's being reflected there is the immense popularity of the application. There's no question 150 million Americans are using it. It's a surprising number. But this argument in particular that we can't ban TikTok consistent with the First Amendment is not correct. In fact, Supreme Court case law is very clear on this, where you're targeting an entity for its conduct as opposed to the content of its speech, where the conduct here would be, in my view, a violation of our national security laws. You can ban that without even triggering First Amendment scrutiny. And even if a court were to view this through a First Amendment lens, I think the evidence here is so overwhelmingly clear. They have said for years, don't worry, this data doesn't exist in China. Internal communications shows everything is seen in China. They denied surveilling the locations of U.S. journalists, and they had to come out and say, yes, in fact, we did that. FBI, DOJ right now have an investigation underway for that surveillance. And just yesterday, the Biden administration's top director of cybersecurity said that she would support a nationwide ban. So I think we're heading in that direction, but it's incumbent on all of us to make the case very plainly to the American public. And I think that's what we're doing.
Okay. Commissioner Brendan Carr, thank you very much. Good to have you here, sir.
Thanks.
Very interesting. We were talking earlier today, not so sure the TikTok thing is going to go through. We kind of felt like it was headed that way 2 weeks ago. You're trying to put your finger in the wind and figure it out now.
I'm looking at the signs that the protesters have in Washington, and they're sort of like pre-produced, beautifully made. Like, my business was helped by TikTok. You've got a tremendous lobby effort that is on the side of TikTok. But I would just point out to parents that you can ban it today. In your home, you can ban it from your children. You can stand up to them and say, I don't think this is healthy for you to spend this amount of time looking at this information. So everyone has the option to start banning it themselves if they decide they want to do that, and perhaps the country will follow.
On AI, quickly, the learning curve right now is like this.
Amazing.
Right? It really is. And we'll see whether or not Musk and others can get this 6-month timeout that they were asking for today.
He's been talking about this for a long time, writing editorials about, how concerned he is about AI taking over. And I think everybody kind of needs to get up to speed.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.